Alright guys, what I've decided to do here is show you two comics I kind of consider, if comic books were movies, these are the B movies, okay? And basically what you see in front of you right now is issue number 7 of a book from Charlton called Doomsday number 1. And, well, Doomsday plus 1, excuse me. And this book is significant because this is John Byrne's first regular book that he did. Before this, he had done some short stories, some cartoon books, nothing real significant. And this book ran in, I believe, 1975 for 6 issues. And after issue 6, 7 through 12 were reprints of the first 6 issues. So what I have here is issue number 7, but it's actually a reprint of number 1. And as you can see, in my opinion, John Byrne being the big Kirby nut, this is a huge, huge homage to Commandy number 1, if you know that cover. Our cast of characters are here in a little raft. You've got the Statue of Liberty here. And basically this is for anybody that are fans of post-apocalyptic books. And I flipped through these, and they're Charlton books. They're painful. Anybody out there not real familiar with Charlton comics, I've read about a few publications that those said publications that badmouth Charlton are also now out of business. But Charlton Comics was around from, I think, the 40s up until the early 80s. And it was rumored that they printed all their comics on a printing press that was originally used for cereal boxes. And they never really utilized the talent that had come through their company. They had Dick Giordano, Jim Starlin. They had people who they knew were stars, such as Neal Adams come through, Steve Ditko. Of course, John Byrne apparently got a big part of his start there. And let me go through these real quick because there's 2 sets of books here I'm hoping to go through. In 1986 or 87, Fantagraphic Books started reprinting the series. And yeah, 1986. And what they did is they took the post-apocalyptic book here and they recolored them. And just to give you a little background on what happened there, check my notes here. It's the first original color comic series by John Byrne, who basically became a big, huge superstar after that. And the cast of characters, basically what happened is in South America, some dictator, if I remember right, a South American guy named Rikos launched 2 atomic missiles at New York in the U.S. and Moscow in USSR. The 2 superpowers believed that the other had launched the missiles at them, so each retaliated. And by the time the American president and a Russian premier had figured it out, it was too late. So only hours after the apocalypse began, the Saturn VI rocket that had been launched with Captain Boyd Ellis, his fiancée Jill Madden, and Japanese physicist Ike Yoshida arrived on Earth and were in Greenland, I believe. And so after the radiation calmed down, they got out. They run across a big woolly mammoth in Greenland, and this great big huge, they call him Goth, I guess, more or less a Viking named Kuno. He's a 3rd century Goth, was revived from his suspended animation. So that's really kind of out there a little bit. And some of the things they encounter are a Russian scientist, cyborg in Canada. So some of this book takes place in Canada, and Russia is there. And I'll show you him in a minute. And they deal with undersea dwellers and some U.S. military and stuff. Alright, now to show you some pages of the books. And what I'm going to do to save time here is, this is the Fantagraphics reprint. And, they recolored a lot of the pages. And I actually think I prefer the originals. Okay. It's great to have, to spice it up and everything like that, I guess, but I really don't see anything wrong with the originals there. Well, maybe if I get the right page for you guys. This is going well. Alright. I don't know how clearly you can see that, but, you know, there we go. You know, they do look a lot different. So, to walk you through this first issue here, because they're not all classics, you know, there we see our cosmonauts and his fiance, and we see them, you know, going off into space in the rockets, and they're all just doing their little job here, and we get some Apollo 20, you know, Apollo stuff, looks like. And then all of a sudden here goes the missiles, and the devastation happens, the big apocalyptic war. We see a few pages here of Russia and their missiles. And, you know, we see, you know, the war all around the earth. People are just devastated. And then our heroes are all like getting in the news, and they return to Earth anyway. And it's cold where they've landed. They're in Greenland. And of course, you know, once you land on Earth, it's typical to just find a woolly mammoth frozen and, you know, have it come after you. And all of a sudden a big spear goes into it, and we meet Kuno. Alright, so that gives you an idea of what's going on here. Now what's cool about this is you're seeing John Byrne kind of find his way. Here's issue 2. We battle some robots, and I think this is where we see the Russian. And, you know, you see some Byrne robots here. You know, just all out action. And that's kind of why I think they had Kuno in there. Oh, where's he at? Yeah. Here's our big Russian scientist. The radiation got to him, and that's how he looks. So that's one of our villains here. Gil Kane came in and did the covers. We got more robot action. Kuno actually started kind of becoming the human voice, dealing with the technology and what we've done to the war and everything like that. And then here's issue 4 with the Neal Adams cover. And this one actually showed Byrne becoming Byrne, man. His style got sleeker, more slick, more professional looking. Started playing with shadows, started playing with textures and everything. Storytelling got much better. I mean, this one was just better by leaps and bounds. And then all of a sudden we get to see the underwater dwellers. And does that pose not look a little familiar there? And this is really where it kind of took off. Showed a lot of potential for John Byrne becoming the John Byrne. Basically, the underdwellers decided to reveal themselves, since, you know, their cousin surface dwellers destroyed the Earth and stuff. And we get Kuno really becoming more and more, you know, the human element in the story. We get to see their underwater village and everything. And, you know, Kuno was our action star. This series has been pretty bland. But what's going on is I was flipping through this and reading this started feeling like some bad 1950s, you know, sci-fi movie. And I'm kind of wondering if this is a parody or if that was on purpose. John Byrne didn't write these. A guy named Joe Gill did. And then we get to see more of these underwater dwellers, and they're very Namor-like. I'm kind of seeing maybe some of this stuff might have influenced his Alpha Flight stuff with Mira, you know, kind of planted the seeds. You know, issue 4 is one I kind of recommend. That one really took off. And then we got issue 5, just more of the same. But what I liked about this one is I'm about to talk about armor if I don't run out of time. And it's got this little pin-up by Dave Sim of Cerebus, dressed up like this character Armor, which just blew me away because I am an Armor fan, but I don't know why. That's issue 5. Just show you the rest of them here. Here's issue 6, more of the same, Gil Kane covers. And then number 7, there were just originally 6 issues, but Charlton came out with a 2-part black and white story in one of their fanzines, I think in 1979, and they finally reprinted here, part 1 and 2 in color. So this one sort of completed the story for anybody that really was a fan of this series or a John Byrne fan. Some newfound material by John Byrne, big on the dinosaurs. Just a little, like I said, just a little post-apocalyptic story there for anybody that's into that kind of thing. And, you know, like I said, it comes off like a 50s bad B movie. Now, this is Armor. I want you to take a good look at this guy because I personally think he is very cool. And basically, I'm not going to walk you through the story because it took me quite a few years, and it took them 7 to 9 years to get this whole series out. I think there was just 12 to 14 issues. And I would find number 1 here and there. I would find number 4 here at the stores and everything like that. Could never figure out what was going on. I kept feel like I was missing part of the stories. Well, after getting all the stories, you know, it turns out I was not really missing anything. But here's the cool concept of Armor. Armor and his brother, the Silver Streak, are just two guys, and they're abducted by aliens. And for some reason, our main bad guy, Rage, decides he's going to teach this guy some space martial arts. In the meantime, he got his hand cut off, and he got an eye put out, so he got some kind of cybernetic ruby eye, and he got a mechanical hand. And his costume, he's called Armor because every piece of this is actually on like this magnetic black bodysuit, and it's stuck to him, and every piece of that can be made into a weapon. So just a very cool concept. But the stories are so sporadic. Here's Rage. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. Silver Streak. His brother Silver Streak here has 2 mechanical hands because he was supposed to be a miner. They never showed the surgeries, and they never showed Armor getting trained. It's just like he just knew it, and there was just a bunch of fights for no reason. And he has his brain outside of his head, you know. So he's some kind of, like I said, alien warlord, and it doesn't really make sense, okay? So it feels like there's just big chunks of the story missing, so I'm not going to waste your time. There's number 3. Just a cool, all-in-out design, a lot of action. I'll show you the insides of this one. I'm not a big, huge continuity comics fan. For you guys that don't know, that was Neal Adams' company. It ran from like I think 84 to 94, and they would have advertisements where that's Silver Streak there. They'd have advertisements where they'd have Megalith, their big guy, maybe it's in here, sitting there assuring family that these are quality stories for the kids. Yet they have decapitations, people getting their it's just gory books with, you know, he's singing about being the devil. They're late. They were never on time. Neal Adams would go over these books and, you know, put his stamp on them, fix things. Jacques and Jack, that's the brothers' names. Okay, so there's, you know, Silver Streak with showing him his hands have been cut off. And he's showing it because Armor is just sitting there, you know, complaining. And Armor is not a nice character, man. He's quite the jerk, man. He really is. I mean, it's just not even funny. Okay, so, like I said, and there's a bat creature I thought was kind of cool. So that's Armor for you, man. Just aesthetically looks really nice. I love this cover. Apparently he's in a, he's training, but it doesn't really show a lot of training. And apparently there's ninjas in space. Okay. And they keep fighting. It never really says why they hate each other. Rage, I'm taking you down. I'm releasing all the slaves. I'm cutting your feet to ribbons. And I'm going to humiliate you just cause you got an ugly face. That's talking some smack. And here's number 6 with Rage yet again on the cover. And all these, you know, little jeweled eye there. Like I said, aesthetically, I think it's just a brilliant design. And then they get Silver Streak in there. He gets his turn. And I'm not really, you know, we're not missing anything. You know, story-wise, it just makes absolutely no sense. Then they relaunched the books in the early 90s before they went out. There's number 4 of the new series and number 9. So I figured I'll just show you a little something different there. And like I said, if those were you know, movies of, you know, comics or movies, these are like B movies. All right, just wanted to share that. Have a great Easter.